I think it's important to note that black boys, more than any other race of people, are conditioned by white police officers and white Americans to think of themselves as wrongdoers and criminals from the time they are very young, even when they have done absolutely nothing wrong. You must understand, as a black male, it doesn't matter how you dress, whether you're in a suit and tie or sagging jeans, a button-down shirt or a t-shirt. The system wants to label you even before it knows you. That's what conditioning is. It is the process of causing a person or an animal to behave in a certain manner, whether or not it is their norm. By the time a black boy is 14 years of age, he's being sized up for handcuffs. By the time a little white boy is 14 years of age, he's being sized up for his class ring. Black boys open life fighting poor odds. They open life fighting police officers and economic oppression, no matter what side of town they come from. I've listened lately to some of our black celebrities suggest that they never encountered racism. I think they are living a fallacy. Racism lives in America, even if the racist does not know or believe that he or she is racist. You see, we cannot allow the racist to define what racism is. Only those of us who have experienced racism firsthand can be permitted to define to the world what racist behavior really is. Stick with me for just the next few moments, and I want to talk to you about my own personal experiences with racism in America. These are my stories of racism in America as a young black man. At the age of 19, I went to jail. No, I was not smoking pot. I was not driving drunk. I didn't stick anybody up or break into anybody's home. But at the age of 19, I went to jail. Most of you know that I was a boy preacher. I started preaching at the age of 12. Well, at that time, I'd been preaching for 7 years. I was preaching all across the state of Louisiana and even in other states. On this particular day, it was a Sunday afternoon. My father decided that he was going to permit me to use his Cadillac, his gray Cadillac, to drive to this out-of-town preaching engagement. Man, you talk about excited. I was some excited. Two of the ministers from our church said that they were going to ride with me, that they were going to go and support me on this afternoon. So we did. I was so excited that I got everything together. I made sure all things were in order, got my briefcase, my Bible, everything, and I put it in the car. My coat was hanging in the back of the car. I picked them up. We were driving up Highway 90 on our way to Houma, Louisiana. Before we knew it, a state trooper had pulled me over. The state trooper said that I was speeding. I didn't argue with him. I decided that I was going to comply with whatever he asked for. He asked for my driver's license and for the insurance. I went into the glove compartment, got the insurance papers out, and I began looking for my driver's license. I checked all of my pockets. My driver's license was not there. I got out of the car, went to the back door, went into my coat jacket, my coat, and the driver's license was not there. He then asked me to accompany him to his car, sat me in the back of the car. He got in the front seat, called in my name and my social security number. The dispatch came back and said, he's all clear. His driver's license is good. It is not expired, and he has no priors. I'm listening to the dispatcher tell him all is clear on this gentleman. The officer then says to me, well, Reverend, it does not look like you're going to make it to church this evening. And he says to the other gentleman who's with me, can one of you drive that car? They said yes. He said, well, you all follow me to the police station. We followed him. They followed him to the police station into somewhere. We don't know where we were. It was in the middle of nowhere. We got to the police station. He said to us, The only way I'm going to let you go is if you pay the fine in cash this evening. The fine is $90. You have to pay it in cash. If you do not have cash, then you will have to stay. The others can go until you see the judge on tomorrow morning. Now, we knew that he did not, number one, have to take us to the police station at all. He did not have to arrest us. This is something he wanted to do because we were driving while black. We were driving a nice car. We were three black men in suits on our way to church on a Sunday evening. We began scrounging in our pockets trying to muster up $90 to pay him off because he didn't give it to the police station. He kept it, trying to pay him off in order that we might be able to leave. Finally, we came up with $90, down to the dollar. We came up with $90, gave it to him, and he permitted us to leave. We made it to church about 2.5 to 3 hours late. Now, if those had been young white men, 19 years of age and older, in that vehicle, all dressed in suits on a Sunday evening on their way to church, there is no way in the world they would have been taken to the police station. To add insult to injury, on Monday morning, I received a call at my parents' home from a white lady. And that lady asked, was I Dale Sanders? I said, yes, I'm Dale Sanders. She said, on yesterday, I found your billfold on Jefferson Highway with your driver's license and your checkbook inside of it, lying on the side of the road. And then it hit me. When I was getting ready to leave home that evening, I had placed my checkbook on top of the car. And in all of the hustle and bustle of getting my things ready, I had forgotten that my checkbook was on top of the car. As I drove up Jefferson Highway trying to get to Highway 90, it flew off the top of my car and was on Highway 90, on Jefferson Highway. A good Samaritan decided to call me. She didn't use a check, didn't spend any of my money, and she gave me my driver's license. This is a black man's journey in America, in a racist society. When I was a sophomore in high school, I took a civics class. It was understood that our instructor was our resident Archie Bunker. If you don't know who Archie Bunker is, Google him, and you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. There were many in our class, black and white. So all of the blacks knew each other, all of the whites knew each other, and we knew that our instructor had some racial issues or racist tendencies. At certain times he would say things that were out of order, we knew it, and so most times he would not be checked for it. But from the time I was very young, I was very outspoken, especially when it came to race. And so on this particular day, we were in class, and unknown to me, on the day before, the instructor had seen my mother and I out, if you will, on the street at a local Burger King. After school that day, my mother had taken me to Burger King. My father, who worked very hard as a pastor and as a painter for many years, my father was a professional painter, for those who do not know that. He would pastor and paint all day. He would go out and work hard to take care of his family. Well, my father had worked hard enough that he managed to buy us a beautiful canary yellow Cadillac. I mean, it was some kind of car. It was a sedan DeVille. It was a long stretch Cadillac, and my mother would come and pick me up at times, and she and I would go places and then go home. Well, on this particular evening, my civics instructor saw my mother and I. We did not see him. On the next day at school, we're sitting in class, and he made the statement that he had seen myself and my mother out the day before and referred to our Cadillac as a welfare Cadillac. Well, you can only imagine. The outspoken young preacher Dale Sanders had words to share with him when he made the statement of our Cadillac being a welfare Cadillac. I'm not going to share with you right now what I said to him. Maybe somebody who was in the class may remember, and they'll share it with you if you know they were part of my class in high school. Listen, racism in America has been prevalent for many, many years. It is the original sin of this country that you and I were brought into this country as slaves. And the issue now is there are many who would choose to keep us in this servile position until they feel better. There are many who would wish for nothing more than that the black man would remain in a position of servitude so that we would have to take orders and do exactly and only what we are told to do, how and when we are told to do it. But the time has come where you and I must no longer take the low road or a back seat. We must stand as people, human beings that God has made, and accumulate in this earth realm that which God so desires for us to have to make our sojourn here better. Let me say this to you, my black brother, my black sister. The bottom line is, it does not matter what you are called. It only matters what you answer to. Wouldn't that instructor have loved for that experience to demean me to the point where my life of productivity would have ended in that classroom on that day, and that I would have become a product of the system to prove he and his kind right, that you and I are only ever going to be institutionalized, and that we will never become what our potential says we can become. I want to submit to you today, don't let anybody define who you are. Only God can define who you are. And so here I am, over 40 years later, and I want to tell you, I thank God for that welfare Cadillac, because it has been the thing that has thrust me to many welfare positions in my life. And I am on welfare because my God takes good care of me, and everything I have, God's given me. I pray that you've been blessed by something I've said or done here tonight, that it will help your young people. It will help you to make it through the ensuing days. Listen, we as a people have lived through slavery, through disenfranchisement, through Jim Crow, through separate but equal, the back of the bus, entering through the back door, colored only water fountains, and even busing. But we are survivors, and we have thrived in the worst of circumstances. Listen to me. Yes, we bleed, but God knows we succeed. Slave ships could not sink us. Plantations could not bury us. Chains could not restrict us. Dogs could not detour us. Water hoses couldn't break us. And unjust laws failed to stop us. Some died, however, more lived. And all witness what a determined God could do with a determined and defiant people. My brothers and sisters, don't be surprised, and certainly don't be upset when one of us succeeds. It's our heritage to be successful in business, on the football field, on the basketball court, the tennis court, as doctors, as lawyers, entertainers, engineers, preachers, journalists, and even authors. Let's cheer each other on. Love one another. Support each other. Buy one another's goods. Recommend each other for jobs. And for God's sakes, respect each other. We've been through enough at the hands of our oppressors that we cannot now turn on ourselves. It would be nothing more or less than negligible. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. There's going to be a great big meeting at the old campground. Walk together, children. God's got us. God's going to bless us. God's going to take care of us. He's been providing, and he shall provide. Blessings on you.